Gotta hit it like tap it in the zone. Share it with the world, make the vibe known. Subscribe to the beat, feel it in your phone. Catch the wave we throw, you ain't alone. Like, share, and subscribe. Keep the rhythm alive, we thrive. Hop on this digital ride. Let's multiply the vibe worldwide. Gotta hit it like tap it in the zone. Share it with the world, make the vibe known. Subscribe to the beat, feel it in your phone. Catch the wave we throw, you ain't alone. Like, share, and subscribe. Keep the rhythm alive, we thrive. Hop on this digital ride. Let's multiply the vibe worldwide.
What's up? What's up? What's up to everyone? Thanks for joining us again. It's another episode. First and foremost, thanks to everybody in the chat. Before I forget that, and anyone who stops through. So, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm here by myself today, so I have control of everything. So you're gonna have to work with me, but I do want to put something up on the screen so we can follow somewhat of a format. Let's see, share screen, just so we have it up here to look at. All right, just so my big face ain't up in the screen, taking up all that good space. Again, welcome to another Tri Media show about technology. welcome back to school to all the young people in this area. Welcome back to school, anybody working in the school district. My wife is actually a bus driver, so she went back to work today. Big shout out to anybody back to school today, young people, employees, parents. It's a lot going on, busy week for them. I think down south and in college, they're probably a month in already. So big shout out to them. We will add some stuff today in the broadcast. Let me turn this other audio off. As far as school goes, technology in school, AI in school for the younger people. Is it helpful? Is it not? Is it the right thing? Is it the wrong thing? We'll discuss those topics. Maybe not in depth today, but definitely throughout the school year, because I think whatever the policy is now is different from what it was last year. Uh, it's going to be different next year as far as AI goes, whether it's for the staff or the students or anyone involved. Peace to my brothers DQ, Brass, Logic. They around here somewhere. But again, we in here by ourselves for now. Hopefully they pop in. If they want to learn something, they'll pop in. Hopefully that's why you men and women are here, is to learn something, and I can learn something also. If you walk away, you didn't learn anything that wasn't beneficial to you or I, and I'm wasting your time, and I don't want to do that. So we definitely going to try to learn something. We're going to have some fun. Uh, at the end, we'll take some questions if anybody's around the chat, if they want to come up and talk about some things. We'll look at that. So the main format today's show is titled AI. Is it a tool or is it a toy? The last few years, it's been used for both, but any new technology that is presented to the general public may not uh, come across as useful as it is to corporations, parts of the government, other large entities use it differently than we do as regular citizens. So it's not always inherent whether it is useful as a toy or something we can use for entertainment, or it's a tool that we can use to be productive, to generate income, to create easier ways to do our job, things like that, legal issues, medical issues, policy, financial, all of those different aspects. We may not look at it from that standpoint as the general population, but believe it that the corporations are and the government is. So I'm sorry if this is moving around, I can't see it. But this is the general format we're going to try to follow today. I don't know if we'll stick to it, but this is just part one. So it's like an overview. And then in future episodes, we'll talk a little bit more in detail about the different aspects or whatever people want to talk about in the chat as we go. So the question is, AI a playful diversion or a serious problem solver? That's the question for today. That may change depending on who's using it, where they're using it, the age of the person, their knowledge of it. A lot of people have very basic, low level knowledge of AI. Hopefully, I can help people understand it a little bit better and use it more and be more productive in ways that they want to be productive, not necessarily how it's aimed at us sometimes, that actually it benefits us and not the companies solely who make this. So that's the question: is it a toy or is it a tool? Significance to determine that for each of us, not just in general. For each of us, we have to uh, determine if it's significant in our life, whether we know it or not. And the part that you may not know, hopefully, we find out throughout this process. So that's why I'm here, is enlighten people that whether we use it or not, the industries are using it. So some of the impacts on healthcare, an example would be disease diagnosis. That's a super detailed, highly specialized field, but it is used in that field, I'm sure, to help doctors get through a lot of information in a short period of time and across the globe and through many different reference points. So that's helpful to be able to weed out a lot of unuseful information, especially when it comes to someone's health. And timing is also important. The faster a person can be diagnosed, obviously, the more beneficial treatment can be given to them by the doctor. So that's an obvious impact in the healthcare field. Finance, we know it's in finance. If a company could generate some income, and also the finance part would affect us probably as employees. If a company uh, uses this technology to replace humans, that affects us financially. It may benefit the company big time financially. So that's an obvious impact also. But sometimes we may not realize how we help that process along using this technology unknowingly, put ourselves out of work, put ourselves out of the loop where we're not needed, our input is not needed, things of that nature. So again, as we go through these things, we'll see how we fit into them, how we can kind of prevent our own demise, hopefully, but also just be aware of how we interact with it affects how it is going to be affects us maybe in the future. Finance, like fraud detection. Instead of having human eyes and ears and knowledge trying to secure your finances, computer systems a lot of times do a better job at fighting other computer systems as far as security. So if the bad guys are using technology to commit these acts, the good guys would be too, as far as prevention and things like that. So that's how it could be useful in finance and transportation. One of the most popular ones is what? Self-driving cars, right? They got off to a rough start. A lot of bad press. I think we're headed there. Any technology that proves more safe and efficient than a human will eventually end up in the insurance and policy area where it's safer for these machines to act on our behalf than it is for us. And you can bet insurance companies are definitely going to look into that. And that's going to be a part of how cars are built going forward, how policies are, prices, and things like that. So definitely significant effects on us, whether it's through things like we see healthcare, finance, transportation, etc. AI, the simple definition, right? The simplest definition: a machine's ability to mimic human intelligence, like understanding language, recognizing patterns, and problem solving. Sounds simple, but it's extremely difficult. Billions and billions of dollars have gone into research to make these machines act like us, behave like us, understand things the way we understand them, recognize and solve problems the way we do, if not better, if not quicker, and if not on a broader scale, like understanding language. A human maybe, take some years to understand a few different languages, especially if you didn't grow up exposed to different languages. Like later on in life, if you wanted to learn 5 different languages, it probably would take you a long time. But if a machine um, can do that across hundreds of languages instantaneously, that's a part of what AI was set up to do. Human-like behavior. This is not necessarily chatbots like ChatGPT, just AI in general. A machine's ability to mimic human intelligence. Capabilities, sort of like a digital brain, capable of learning, reasoning, and perceiving the world. The reasoning and perceiving the world is another hurdle. Perceiving the world requires senses. Humans, we have senses: sight, hearing, taste, touch, things like that. Computers lack most of those senses inherently, and they have to be built in. So that's not an easy hurdle to climb. Even though it says key capabilities, I believe those are future goals um, that companies have. But as far as the digital brain, neural networks and computers are set up similar to how human brains functions. How they cross reference things, how they build memories, how they recognize different things such as color, uh, how sounds are converted over to signals. Our brain can recognize sounds. Computer AI technology is set up, large language models at least, similar to how the human brain functions. Again, this is just overview. Types of AI: narrow, general, and machine learning. I think everybody the last year or so have been hearing about the machine learning or the LLMs, large language models. That's pretty much what ChatGPT and them all function off, like algorithms that learn from data. And we'll look up the basic definition of an algorithm shortly, just so we understand what that is. But that's basically some definitions of AI. What I would add to that is, if anyone has ever dealt um, with a chat bot on a website or on a phone call, press one, do this, do that, and you get automated responses. Or if you're on a website and say you have an issue with your bank card or whatever, and you go on the website, if you can't get through on the phone, they have that chat service, and basically you type in back and forth. That's a chat bot, and that pushes us that thought into, what we're talking about today is chat bots, pretty much, whether it's Chat GPT or Google Gemini or Claude. They're basically souped up chatbots. We've all dealt with them, whether we know it or not, or we've all seen them on the screen. Now, going forward, as you look at computer screens or you're on your phone and you see that option to chat, more and more that'll be easier. That'll be pushed on us, forced on us, instead of talking to a human being. Because those chatbots, as we'll learn, similar to Chat GPT, those chatbots are trained on that company's information. They're trained on that company's information. So, Chat GPT, Google Gemini, the larger ones, they're trained on general information as a whole. More specific chatbots, and I think we looked at that in one of the earlier episodes. Um, you can train them on specific information. So your bank's chatbot is trained on the bank's information, how to deal with problems that that bank may have, whether it's electronic or whatever the problem is, right? So we've seen these chatbots. We're using them now. Um, we're becoming more familiar with them, and we're going to start recognizing them more and more, whether we like it or not. So hopefully, we here at Tri Media and me specifically can help people understand how they work, where they're at, what they do, and how we can benefit from them. So that's what I would add to defining AI, and move it more towards what we um, are using now, which is chatbots, hyped up chatbots on steroids. So we go from chatbots that are specifically trained on certain information to Chat GPT, which is trained on general information. And now we're ending up going back into more custom chatbots, which are going to benefit individuals, businesses, organizations, things like that. So it's the ebb and flow of information and technology. Just as we get too far on one end of the scale, somehow we end up coming back to where we left. So something more refined to something more broad, back to something more refined. That's just how it goes. So what else we got? But we're in this phase pretty much when we talk about Chat GPT, the machine learning. That's the background of Chat GPT. They use machine learning to train the chatbots for their information and how to deal with the data. That's what that is. Narrow. This is something we all have in the house, right? Siri, Alexa. I don't want to say the Google one because it'll pop up the phone. But these are examples of narrow AI, Siri and Alexa. And general AI, hypothetical, I guess that's something more, whatever, hypothetical, but we don't really deal on that one too much. We normally deal with narrow and machine learning that's behind things like chat GPT. So as a tool, I think I have the image backwards. I think it says toy as a tool. Either way, as a tool, some practical applications. First, let's go to what an algorithm is, because that's going to be helpful. And we're not learning how these machines are trained 100%. We're just going to learn how they're being used and how they can be helpful and what they are. So we'll look at something called an algorithm. Let me switch over real quick. What an algorithm is, right? Let me go back. All right. An algorithm, super important. Everybody hears about it. Everybody's aware that they're a part of it. Everybody aware that it's responsible for what shows up on your damn timeline. Um, it affects a lot of what we do in most aspects of our life. An algorithm, and it's not a new word. It's not a new. Let me get my screen up so I can read it with you. It's not a new process. It's not a new thought. It's not a new system, right? Algorithm. In mathematics and computer science, an algorithm is a finite, that's important, finite sequence of mathematical rigorous instructions, typically I'm sorry, used to solve a class of specific problems or to perform a computation. Let's do this. Let me see if we can simplify. We'll just summarize some key points of the page. But first, I want to go down to the date and the creation of the algorithm. I think you'll be shocked, right? People think an algorithm is new. It's not. 1825 AD for all of you history folks out there. A Persian scientist, Muhammad ibn Musa. I don't want to mess that man's name up, right? Around 1825 AD, a Persian scientist, a polymath. Y'all can look that up. I'm not going to do that. What a polymath is. Probably somebody who's versed in different forms of mathematics. He wrote a book of Indian computation, addition and subtraction in Indian arithmetic, Latin translations of said texts involving Hindu Arabic numeral system and arithmetic appeared. So let's go to where the name comes from, right? For example, Liber algorithmi. I'm not reading all that. Attributed to John Seville. Then there's another algorithm here attributed to Adelar Bath. Hereby algorithm. Long story short, you get its inception or the beginning of it around 825 by a Persian scientist. Throughout the years, I guess it's used more and effectively used. 1230, the English word, that's still early on. 1230, the English word algorithm is attested by another person. So over here, let me make sure you can see that. Where we at? Yes, on the right side of that screen, what the hell is it? Here it is something I use up here. It's a Google extension. It just helps you summarize the page or something like that. But basically, we wanted the key takeaways from the page. The definition, The difference between algorithm and heuristics, historical context, dates back to the works of Muhammad, Khwarizmi in the ninth century, and that's just the history of it. So let me go back to my page. An algorithm is not new. It's not uh futuristic. It's been around for a long time and it has many use cases. We won't do that today. Stop. Back to our chart window. But it's definitely been around for a long time, right? So why it's important to know what an algorithm is, um, basic instructions, things like that. We can understand how it fits into the technology we're using today and why it's important to the companies and to anyone who develops this technology to use algorithms. It's a form of math. Most machines operate off ones and zeros, right? So it's a form of math that's necessary to use artificial intelligence and chatbots. So that would bring us to we'll do this and then we'll look at some stories as far as tools or something like that. If not, we'll look at the toy application, which would be for entertainment, something like that. But AI, and that is interchangeable with chatbots, how we know it today, just to make the language simple. Like you could replace the term AI and most of this sheet with chatbot, and you'll it may be easier to understand. AI is more general, a chatbot is more specific. So, as a tool, practical applications, business, customer service chatbots. I just talked about that. We've all dealt with them, whether knowingly or not. Even if you get a person on the line, it's a good chance they're reading from uh, chatbot generated information or they're entering that information into some sort of AI or chatbot that is aligned with their business properties and all of that, just how their business functions. So whether it's a person doing it or you doing it yourself, or someone that's entering that data, they're most likely dealing with some sort of AI. Personalized marketing campaigns. That's useful for people who have products, people who have events, people who have, just interact in sales or things like that. So that's a practical application that a chatbot can help you personalize your marketing strategies and things like that. Predictive analytics, right here. Predictive analytics. All companies use analytics. We are a part of those analytics, how we interact with different things, whether it's where we drive, where we shop, what we consume, what we purchase, what we uh use as far as entertainment, anything like that. That's a part of an analytic somewhere. And if a chatbot can help you predict certain trends, that's beneficial to you as an individual or definitely a business, right? But we're in the business category. Research, drug discovery, climate modeling, materials science. Anybody in research or science or works with climate change, the weather, meteorology, that's important. People thinks, most people we want to know if it's raining, so we take an umbrella. But to farmers or people who do construction, that's or transportation, things like that, it's way more important to them what the weather is going to be than it may be to us as somebody who just wants to know if it's going to rain outside or snow when I have to shovel. Materials science may help you process discovery of new materials, how to synthesize new of materials. But that's research. Consumer, that's us. Smart home devices, we went over that. AI, Siri, the Google one that I'm not going to say because everything here is going to start talking. Personalized recommendations for travel, shopping, things like that. Virtual assistants. That's what we will be most likely using in the general population. Chat GPT, Claude, um, Google Gemini. We'll be using these things as assistants to help us out, whether at home or at work. Benefits. Let's see. Efficiency. They're quicker. And if they can automate a task for a decent price, these companies will. Decision making, analyzing vast amounts of data to make informed choices. That's something that's different than say a Google search, and I think we went over that too in a prior episode. Informed choices. Google is pretty much a link finder, right? A chatbot is a little more different. It's a little more uh, uh, tuned into the data to analyze the data for your specific question and or need and give you a human like response. That's something different than say a Google search. Medical diagnosis, I think we talked about that. Correct and speedy diagnosis can only help the patients, right? Financial predictions. Automation, replace manual labor and manufacturing and agriculture. um I'm sure it's expensive in agriculture agriculture to implement a system that replaces farmers and their help. So that's where we're headed, to automation, replacing manual labor in certain industries. Manufacturing, we see that. And another thing, you look around your house, you'd be surprised how much stuff was made through an automated process and not a human being. So whether we recognize these things or not, if we stay vigilant and just aware in general, we can catch how things are not, or how things are changing from human hands to robotic or automated hands, just by listening to certain news articles. I mean, news shows sometimes. Uh, Everybody has social media, so when you see these things pop up, or you get an email or something from a business or your doctor's office. Oh, you use this app. That's an automated process. They're telling you make your appointments through this app. If you want your medication, go through this app. That's an automated process that it's a convenience, but we may not realize, okay, that's an app, it's convenient, but it may be putting people out of work. It's definitely replacing manual labor. So something that simple. And I think anybody who's been to the doctor recently or past few years, they're moving towards that, where you are more responsible for your medical information, how you access it, instead of just showing up to the doctor's office all the time. So that's an example. As a toy, AI, or in our case, we'll say chatbots too, as a toy. Entertainment, AI powered games. I don't play video games, so I think Brass plays Red Dead Redemption. I wouldn't know what any of this is. The Last Part of Us Part 2. Um those games, those systems are. What's up, Donnie? My bad, my bad. I keep looking down the phone and thinking, did I say what's up? Um how you doing, bro? Yeah, definitely manufacturing. And for the people who work in these facilities, we see it coming in. Back when I worked in manufacturing, you see 10 people working somewhere, then 2 years later, five people working in that same area, then 2 years after that, two people, all replaced by automation and robotics, sensors, things like that. So definitely anybody who works in that industry, you see it real time. But on the entertainment side, or as a toy, or just for fun. It's used in video games. If you know any of these games, it's in there. Interactive storytelling, that's a part of a lot of video games too, and definitely for younger people. I'm sure we're going to see that in different applications that are helpful to younger people, helping them read, do math. learn languages, science, like that. Interactive, not just when I was younger, they had the CNC robots, but they were all pre-programmed, and you went from say A to Z in that order, and that was it. There was no editing function. Um, it wasn't very uh, uh, interactive, or didn't have a change in the algorithm. It was one set of rules that it went by. But now, interactive storytelling app or device for a child can learn that child's personality. It can learn their strengths and weaknesses in certain things, whether it's reading or math, and it can adjust. So that's how it could be used in something like a toy for a child, or even just be more, fun. Who wants to play a game that, okay, you get to the end, or you can get through it so easy, it's not even fun. So if games can adjust to, become more difficult for people, and at the same time, if you're playing a game, you don't want to lose every damn time. So it can be interactive, where to adjust the game's parameters. So, okay, this person's horrible at gaming. Let's get him through some stages in the game, so he don't just say, I'm not buying this or whatever. So things like that, I'm sure. Virtual pets. I don't know if that's big in this country, but I believe it's big in some countries, along with virtual people that we deal with. On the phone, like I said, on the business aspect, you may be, you're listening to automated prompts, but there are automated assistants can not only just help you at work, it may be companion for certain people. Anybody who has parents that have Alzheimer's or something like that, these things can conversate with them. Like my mom's suffers from that early onset, right? And in her long-term care facilities, there's not enough nurses to run around and have direct conversations with every individual in there, right? No matter all of the activities they do, eventually virtual pets. My mom is a huge pet person, like forever. Like she'll take a stray cat over or a stray dog over a person any day, but that's just her. But a virtual pet will be useful for people like that. Um who were, always like animals and pets, that just something to keep them interested and keep their brain activity up and their interaction up. So on the entertainment side, you get things like that. Creativity. If you're on YouTube, we all know about the imagery, text to image generated through the chatbots or through the AI, right? The Dallies, the Google has one, Copilot has one, the Mid Journeys, think of Mid Journeys right here. I didn't even see that. Text to image. Anything multimodal. Multimodal just means one format to another format, one mode to another mode, multi modes. That's all. So text to image, that's multimodal. Text to video, video to text, where you input a video and you extract the text, like YouTube. And all of these things we see and we use, we may not even realize. If you get the transcript from a YouTube page, that's video to text, where YouTube is in an ongoing process, processing the video to turn that into text to turn it into what? A transcript. So, um, text to audio. They have websites now where you can type in what kind of a song you want, and you'll get the music, you'll get lyrics. So that's text to audio. So that's multimodal. That's the creativity aspect. So in all of these areas, you have the AI that's already being used. So as a tool, I think it's definitely already being used. We'll maybe talk to later. Why is this on my screen? I'm sorry. Let me move that. Um, the effects of that on people, the ethical. Sorry, let me get back. The ethical uses of this technology in medicine, um, financing, things like that. But we're on this as a toy section right now. So we dealt with as a tool down here. Experimentation, exploring new possibilities and pushing creative boundaries. Poetry, symphonies, that's music, and that would be say prompt to text or text to text again. School time, where the kids are back to school, education, writing tools. I think we'll talk about that. I think an article or two on that, at least one that we'll look at. As far as it being used in schools or how it's being used. So definitely good uses as a tool, as toys, and this is just surface level stuff, just so we have an understanding that how prevalent it is around us. And again, back to the creativity part, I may have left out YouTube images. People make banners, people make shorts. When you use AI to splice video or to add text or to uh, uh, convert it, different things, that's in the creativity realm. That's all artificial intelligence in the background, doing all that. It's not just computer power or just computer computation. It's definitely some creative uh uh artificial intelligence behind that. So now the line in between tools and toys. Fun tools, AI powered games like Pokemon Go, which blend entertainment with practical applications. I don't know anything about Pokemon Go, so if that makes sense to you, it makes sense to you. I don't play online games. Gamification, using game-like elements to make AI tools more engaging. Duolingo, I believe, yeah, that's a language learning app. So they would or Khan Academy. I think they do that. That's a learning website where you can learn different fields of education, whatever. But they would incorporate game-like elements to help you learn a language or to get through a topic that you're studying. And that's the interaction between using it as a tool and also as a toy. Serious applications, AI powered toys that teach children coding or problem solving. Lego Mindstorms or Cosmo. Maybe we'll do that one day and see how smart we are, because the kids are going to be way smarter than we are, right? And they're going to have access to this. They're going to be using it. They're going to grow up with these technologies. So, but going forward, they will be more and more incorporated into the classrooms. That's definitely going to happen. So they're learning things like coding and problem solving through systems like Lego Mindstorms or whatever Cosmo is. So geared towards young people in a way that younger people learn different than say older people. So it's definitely serious applications. And if it's AI powered, again, it allows more detailed interaction amongst different kids. Some kids learn quicker, some kids obviously learn different than others. And if the AI can adjust to the different kids and their learning behaviors, but they still get the same lesson, that's important. That's important. So that they all leave with the same amount of knowledge, even though it may have been taught to them in a different manner that was adjusted to how they learn. Ethical considerations. Yeah, I know this is boring stuff, but this is just the first show. Um, Privacy, data collection, privacy and security, although it's pushed on people to be uh, prioritized, keep your information private, uh, utilize security apps and measures in your online presence. Whether it's your email or your social media. Be aware of your information that you provide to people. Be aware of any links that you click on, things you download. They push that on people, but at the same time, you may not realize that you signed away some of your privacy just by using some of this technology. Um, that sucks. But that's something that's built in, and it's an ongoing issue that you have to give up certain privacy just to use something, say like Google Maps. you would have to give up your location to use Google Maps to get you from A to B. So they collect that data, something like that. Bias. They can perpetuate existing biases present in their training or algorithms. If things were set up in a biased manner and the computer, because it's not really reasoning, it's going to pull, it can pull from that information and show some bias. Job displacement. We talked about that. That's obvious. So we'll leave the questions for the chat later on. But summary, and in short, it's both a powerful tool and a source of entertainment, but it has ethical considerations that must be addressed. So it is both and can be both. It can be either or. It can be used separately. They can be used separately as something entertainment or something more practical. So let's go to a make sure what else we got. Let's go to an article because we are in the back to school. Now, every school district, I'm sure, has their own. Let me pull this article up. Window. Where we go right here. Every school district, for those of you that have kids in school, I don't care if they're in college or elementary school or whatever, they're going to have their own policy as far as using chatbots or AI at home. Some schools may be more lenient, some schools may not. So I'm definitely not telling anyone to allow their kids or encourage them to use it in a way that's not appropriate or approved by their specific school district. But I think as time goes on, it will be more prevalent. There will be ways in forms that it's able to be used properly. So definitely look into it. Don't I would not, like, if my kids were still in school, they're out of school, they're grown, they're out of college and all that. So but if they were, I would want them to learn it, learn how to use it, and encourage them to the degree that it was allowed by the school district, right? So that's important. Find that out because it can help them. But for those of us who use it for other purposes, let's go into our article. I'm going to summarize it. Make sure I still see you guys. Okay. I don't think we need to see me. All right. So something simple like this. There will also be a time where you can notify wherever you're submitting your work, whether it's art, whether it's an application, whether it's schoolwork or anything, that you did it with the assistance of AI, similar to citing sources and having a bibliography and references, things like that, right? So we're just going to do the key. Actually, let's just look at the title. Words and phrases that make it obvious you use Chat GPT. As these things are used more, they'll become more obvious that they're being used because you'll get more repetition. You'll get more frequent similarities in responses, right? So the title of the article is Words and Phrases That Make It Obvious You Use ChatGPT. And this is on Medium, their website. But let's just scroll down and we'll just get right to some of the words, right? It's good to be aware of these words because they tend to be mechanical and vague. And then we'll look at something how we can adjust ChatGPT or what a term inside ChatGPT means. It's called temperature, right? We'll look at that probably next. But these are some words. So if your student is allowed to use it, but you want them to be more creative, or if you're allowed to use it at work or you're not, but you are using it, these are some words that may make your text look like it was AI generated. Overused words. Accordingly, you can read through them. Additionally, arguably. Now, as these words pop up, if I was using it, I would just go in to a synonym finder and just change, some words. And also, anytime you generate text, especially important text from any chatbot or any assistant, AI assistant, please read it. They're not perfect. They're definitely not 100%. And you want to make sure it has your sentiment built in, right? So definitely please read it. But these are some of the words that are commonly, what did it say up here? Words, transitional words, overused by Chat GPT. However, nevertheless, notwithstanding, I don't think I ever wrote that word or typed that word. Adjectives overused by Chat GPT. So you start seeing these words somewhere. You may trigger AI. I forgot what they're called, but they have AIs or chatbots that teachers can put um, students' work in, and it will give them a rating. It's kind of like a plagiarism checker, but it's for artificially intelligent or AI generated text. So it gives them a percentage. Oh, this is looks like it was 50% written by AI and not this student. Most teachers know their students. Maybe not at the beginning of a year, but it doesn't take long before a teacher realizes the capabilities of the students. So if there was a major change in how the student was doing their work, that would show up, right? What's up, Sosa? Um, they just don't use these AI detection generators. They know if Billy was a D student on Monday and next Monday he's turning in college level papers, there's something not right there. But these are some of the words, adjectives overused by Chat GPT. Adept, dynamic. I'm not going to read them all. Nouns overused by Chat GPT. Now, this may not matter if you're using it for personal use, but if you're going to be turning in, say, applications or reference material, schoolwork, resumes, things like that. Nouns overused by ChatGPT. I don't think I use a lot of them words anyway. Verbs overused, aligns, augment, delve. I think I used delve a few times, but that was my own creation. They bugging. Facilitate, maximize. Phrases overused by ChatGPT. Testament, in conclusion, in summary. I wouldn't say in summary. I think that's pretty common. Examples of data analysis phrases overused by ChatGPT. This is a popular one. Yeah. Deliverable, deliver actionable insights through in-depth data analysis. Drive insightful. But again, these chatbots or language models are trained on this terminology anyway. So of course it would be, I would think, overused. If you put in a general statement, it's going to give you, or a general prompt or general question about the the work I'm getting ready to turn in. It may give you this. This is like industry standard stuff. How many of y'all been in a meeting and they put a slide up and it says this at the top? What we're trying to accomplish is deliverable, actionable insights through in-depth data analysis. Or somebody sells your company something, this is what they're going to tell them. We can deliver actionable insights. But that's just some of the data analysis phrases overused by ChatGPT. Leveraging, I got to go check our descriptions. I'm sure we got some of this in there. We've been caught. We've been outed. Other signs that text may have been written by ChatGPT. overly complex sentence structures, an unusually formal tone. That's what we'll look at next too. The how to adjust the temperature, which is just how Chat GPT responds. Um, like more specific or more creative. That's called temperature. But we'll look at that, how people can adjust the temperature in their own Chat GPT. Unnecessarily long and wordy, vague statements. So this is like opposites, overly complex or vague. Like that's opposite. So you still have to reread the outputs. Let's see some examples. Ask ChatGPT to write a recommendation letter for an event planner job. I am writing to enthusiastically recommend. We're not gonna read all that, but again, this is an article. Furthermore, they go that word up in there. Okay, what are some of the signs? So I'm sure teachers they have this software that detects this. Anybody that is responsible for analyzing someone's documents or work or writings is going to get training in this. But there's always a way around it. We'll talk about that one day too. It's vague and wordy without concrete examples. Too many adverbs, making it sound inauthentic. Some words, phrases aren't often used in human written text. Professionalism, furthermore, meticulous attention to detail. I don't know. I disagree with that. But we're not going to go through these. Again, this article is in Medium. I don't know if you need a subscription or not. Let me just go back to the top. And it's basically what we have. Words and phrases that make it obvious. So again, if your child is allowed to use it as per their school policy and you know rules, things like that are good to know. Read, proofread everything. Try to be original. Try to keep it to your own tone and personality. I think I got another article. All right, here we go. Switch screens. All right, where we at? Oh, over here. Nope, we're over here. All right, this article. This is a Medium too. I like Medium. It's decent. It's cheap too. I think it's like $5 a month or something like that. Teaching during the rise of AI and the end of reading. I have a basic summary over here, pretty much that discusses the main points of the article. But again, since we just started school, I think most of the other countries started damn near a month ago. The Northeast is September. So the teachers got to deal with it. Students got to deal with it. Most importantly, the parents got to deal with it. Main points of this article. I'm not going to read this, but decline in reading. There's a significant decrease in reading among young people attributed to factors like pandemic related learning loss and poor reading pedagogy. Pedagogy. Let's see. Basically, what else is his main point? The rise of generative AI and social media has contributed to a preference for quick, easily digestible content over longer reading materials. I'm guilty of that right now because I'm not reading this. I'm super guilty. But again, this article is I think about a teacher and students like that. There's another article here. The end of reading ideal comes from a recent article in the Chronicle of Higher Education. It's a magazine for American colleges. So if you want it outside of just the policies your schools have for your children, you should know what other school policies is, or things going on in your state, because that can change the policies and rules that your kids um are subject to. Like when the pandemic hit and all the kids around here, they stayed home. They sent them home with tablets. So things changed. Everything from Wi-Fi connections to having the kids in front of camera so they can be marked as present in class. Parents staying home. So it's not always just rules and policy changes through politics and civics. It can be something like a natural disaster or something that affects society as a whole. So the pandemic was a big example of that. But the article is pretty much about uh reading, the decline in reading, which may be also attributed to the decline in what's the word I'm looking for, um cognition. So they may be directly related. I'm sure it's going to take some years to find out the effects of social media and the kids being school taught. I mean, home taught through, not home taught, but I don't want to say homeschool, but being schooled from home during the pandemic. Those effects take years to some effects are pretty obvious right away, but some are also it takes a long time for them to see all the effects of that. There's another essay in Psychology Today, but these are all places you can go to find out the impact of AI in school. Reading books matters. For long form text is the kind most likely to impart valuable information, build critical thinking skills, and nurture empathy. And on some level, reading builds commitment and work ethic. So if they're reading less, you can lose empathy, commitment, work ethic, critical thinking skills. In an age when we're bombarded with all kind of information, good, bad, and everything in between, critical thinking skills super important for young people, and peer pressure and social media and shit like that. So super important, right? Um, I'm just looking through this. The link between AI hype and society struggle to read. Again, that goes to the topic of the show. Is it a tool or a toy? Even though we're using it a lot of times for entertainment or personal use, it may affect the how we deal in our professional lives, or parts of our life in education, business, legal matters, like our not legal, just social implications, because we're too much into it on a personal side, and we don't know how to turn that off. Everywhere you go, people are on their phone. Obvious example. That's what I was saying before. A lot of this stuff is obvious, but because it's so much of it, we don't recognize it. Even at work, I was in the doctor's office. I walked past the nurses' stations, right? When I got my surgery on my shoulder, a few weeks ago, everybody that walked by my bed was on their phone and their scrubs. Like everybody. I think the only person who wasn't was the doctor when he came in and said what he said. But everybody else, or when they take your blood pressure. So it's everywhere. People are on their phones, and that's something that's obvious. But that, again, how the social aspect, or the fun aspect, or the toy aspect can affect our professional side, um, or things that are not in our personal life. It's cops. You ride by a cop car and they're sitting there. You see somebody run through the light, the cop's sitting there. You're like, yo, you see this dude? And you look over, and the cop is on his phone. Construction workers, you name it, everywhere you go, they're on their phone. So that's an example of the AI hype and society's, not just struggle to read, but a crossover. Um, let's just look at it. The kind of reading people do. I hope that. Oh, never mind. I'll just read it. On social media platforms is short, isolated, and information based. I like this. I don't like that. You're wrong. I'm right. Look at me. Buy this. Don't buy that. Collectively, these brief exchanges allow people to keep tabs on what everyone in the world is thinking about everything right now. And they add it, which sounds exhausting. It is. It's also very addictive. So be careful with your screen time. Um, Another example, if this 5-minute video doesn't answer my question quickly, then I'm not going to stick around to find out if it does. I'll try to find a different result in my Google search, maybe try different words and then give up. There's a reason why Google search results show videos with the beginning of the relevant segment marked for you and ready to play from there. So we talked about algorithms earlier. Algorithms can be adjusted. So now instead of something that's simple, if we put something in Google search and it gives us the list of videos, the videos used to start from the beginning in that um search result. But now it's saying, depending on your search result, you may have the video fire up right at the part that's most, well, yeah, relevant to you. That's good for us, but it also does that it shortens everything again, which is a part of, let me scroll back up to where they said it. Um Long form text. So we're shrinking everything, what we read, what we look at, and we lose certain things when we do that. We lose valuable information, critical thinking skills, empathy on some levels, and we're not as committed, and we don't, we may not gain a better work ethic if we're not willing to read through some stuff. I'm recently guilty of that, but a lot of what I learned is by watching entire videos, even if it was the wrong one. Sometimes, like I learned something different. Some that maybe I didn't go on there for, but hey, I learned something, right? What else we got? Let's see. I need to stop saying too. Apply the same logic and behavior to reading, where the cognitive load increases compared to a video where the content structure may be challenging. If the dopamine, I'm not a doctor, the dopamine doesn't hit quick, it's harder to stick with it. Reading feels like work. Reading minimally or not at all feels like avoiding hard work. So you have these different effects. Again, kids are in school, they're going to have access to this on their phones on the way to school, on the way home from school, and when they get home. Maybe not in the classroom and between classes, things like that. So the teachers' jobs literally just got, I feel 10 times harder, right? To especially at the beginning of the year when they're getting to know their students. So definitely affects their ability to do their job effectively. Let's see what else we got. When reading feels like work. The science of reading shows that children must be taught phonics, how letters represent sounds and combination of letters represent spoken words. How long I've been on? I don't want to bore. Okay, an hour. Look at that. I'm doing good. Bore everybody to death. A generation of teachers decided that teaching phonics destroyed the joy of reading, so they just exposed kids to text and hope they pick up reading the way kids pick up speaking. As it turned out, I remember phonics, and there was something called hooked on phonics, I think, when I was younger. If you old, you know what hooked on phonics was. But it made it difficult for them to decipher long form text with sight words, which basically it was you. They would teach you to look at a word and know what it was, not necessarily sound it out. Worry about the spelling. You would look at the word like and you don't sound it out. Okay, that's and you just that's kind of what I think phonics was, like word recognition or something like that. Hope I got that right. Here it goes right here. Look, hooked on phonics. And it said, because we went through that era, reading still feels like work to me these days. So, again, this article's name is Teaching During the Rise of AI and the End of Reading. So, that's, I think, again, perfect for this time of year. Reading requires effort to enter the flow state in which we lose track of, let me scroll down, how long we've been reading. Writing requires effort to translate electrical signals in one one's brain into an inner monologue and then reproduce said monologue in a form someone else can comprehend. I'm sure these things can fall by the wayside if we're too dependent on AI. Uh, let's see, canary in the coal mine. Minimizing reading and outsourcing writing to generative AI both save effort through shortcuts, but may easily short circuit the development of higher level thinking. That's what I'm saying. We'll find out the effects of AI probably, on younger people in their senior years or the high school years or the college years. But by then, I'm sure the colleges will have adjusted or the high schools, hopefully accordingly. So if you got kids in school, stay on top of that. Students being stupid. I don't worry about students being stupid. They're not. I worry about today's students losing something immensely valuable without even knowing they lost it. That's deep. We have witnessed a multi-generational decline in reading comprehension. We read less, retain less of what we read, and we struggle to engage in critical analysis, losing the ability to comprehend the world around us and make sense of complex ideas and existential crisis. But we'll go back over here to summary. Current teaching methods, such as reliance on PowerPoint slides, discourage students from engaging with textbooks and longer text. Cognitive load. Reading requires more cognitive effort compared to consuming video content, leading to a reluctance to engage with longer articles. So again, if you have children in school, be aware of the policies and procedures as far as them being allowed to use AI, how, and how that, or if they're not allowed to use it, make sure, you show them how to use it responsibly. Because I'm sure schools, even my school that I go to school for now, there's a certain amount of it that is allowed. Maybe I'll find it one day and pull it up. Um, what they allow you to do, or how for research or things like that, summary, like basic stuff. So that's it for this one. Medium, that's the website. Teaching during the rise of AI and the end of reading. Hope that wasn't too painful. But we got to learn some stuff, people. What else we got on the list? Oh, OpenAI play OpenAI Playground. Let me fire that up first. So let me go here. Oh, it came up. Good, good, good. All right. OpenAI Playground. Earlier, I mentioned something like temperature. Temperature is basically, let's read it. What the hell? Temperature in Chat GPT or most GPTs or chatbots controls randomness. If I move the mouse, you won't be able to see it, but you see it on the screen, that little box. I don't know if you can, but I'll read it. Lowering results in less random completions, right? As the temperature approaches zero, the model will become deterministic. Basically, what that means, this number here is it's one. If I lower it closer to zero, the responses from Chat GPT will become more deterministic, probably bland and repetitive. That's good for information where you need specific answers, formats, results. If you're doing something on a creative side, like poetry or songs or images, you want it more on the creative side. So not only can you create custom GPTs, one, use other people's custom GP. We got to do that next week. We're going to do some custom GPTs next week. So write in the chat what you want to create a custom GPT to help you out with. But again, you got custom GPTs that you create. You have other people's custom GPTs that are more fine tuned, right? Then you have the temperature setting in your general chat GPT use. I don't know if I raised that to one or if that's the default, but that is on. It's called the playground. So if you put in OpenAI playground in Google, you'll see the link. maybe I'll go through that process. But let's get back to temperature. You lower this number to be more deterministic, I would say, and factual and realistic. You leave it at 1 or increase it to be more creative for people, again, making songs, writing poetry, storytelling like that, where being more creative is more of what you're trying to do. So keep that in mind. You can change the temperature setting on your chat GPT. Most of us bounce around between being creative and needing, more specific information. So I guess you could leave it at 1. But just keep that in mind. How do we get here? Let's go back to Google. So we will put in open, spelled that wrong, right here. Open AI Playground. This is how you get to that part of your chat GPT. You just put in Open AI Playground. You see it on the platform. Let me make sure that worked for you guys on your end. Yeah, it did. Did that work? Let me go back just to make sure. Let's see if it works. Open AI. Because I can't see both screens, so y'all just gonna have to work with me. Yes, it did work on your end. All right. So again, OpenAI Playground is how you get to that section of your chat GPT. I know it's a platform, but it's actually called the playground, right? Right here. And here's your temperature. You can lower it. Now remember, closer to 0. If you just hover your mouse over it, you'll see that little explanation there. Closer to 0, more specific. Closer to 1, more creative, like that. You give it more room to, hallucinate or be more creative. That's all. Let's see. Also assistance. We'll do that one day too. Not now. This is something whole completely different. All right. I think what else I got on my list? I'm trying to stay under 2 hours. Let's see if I got any more articles. I think I have something on New York Times. All right. Internet Archive. This is from New York Times. The dispute started. Well, first of all, Internet Archive, I think, is a website that archives the internet, and to the point of where it even archived books. So a lot of people will go there to get free versions of books. And at some point, you're going to get a copyright issue because this is people's copyrighted works. And people were able to go into this website and get free books or PDF versions of the books or the books. So, and I guess this all ramped up throughout the pandemic. Like again, the pandemic caused so many issues, many which won't be determined until long after the pandemic is over. But if this has happened so recently, what's down the road, right? But basically, and this is for people who've ever used one of these sites, Anna's Archive, Internet Archive, to get PDFs or magazines or information for free off the internet. What happened? They expanded access to its online library during the pandemic, leading to a legal dispute. So their expansion probably put them on the radar of the government, and you got copyright. A U.S. court ruled that the Internet Archive violated copyright by redistributing books without a license, favoring major book publishing. So I'm assuming what they mean is the license favors major book. I'm on a computer. No, you could have text. Hold on, y'all. 1 second. Just rude. Just rude. Just rude. 1 second. I'll be right back. I don't want to yell in this in this microphone. All right. My mic back on. Yes, it is. So basically what happened was, and this is a huge site for people who do research or who, again, like I said, get free versions of copyrighted material, bootlegs. That U.S. Court of Appeals ruled that the Internet Archive violated copyright by redistributing books without a license. The court rejected their claim of fair use. All of these statements, if we're on YouTube, we heard these phrases before. Fair use. What else? They have removed over 500,000 books from its archive in response to the ruling. This case, what's important is, may have broader implications for digital archives. So any of us that, or any of you or us that go online to get PDF versions from, say, not the publisher's website or the author's website, this may affect that going on in the future. Online archives or libraries, not obviously sanctioned ones, but ones that may not be. And I think that is all I have. Let me check, make sure I don't have any more articles. No, that's all I have. I think next time what we'll go over is this area up here, Google extensions, which allowed me to summarize this page or ask questions about this particular article. No, how do I get rid of that? Oh, I probably have to rephrase it. Or I could write the questions down here, actually. Let's do this. Here's some things I can ask about this article without reading the whole article, or I could read it. What's the purpose of this webpage? Summarize the content. What are some of the takeaways? What evidence or examples are used to support the points made in this webpage? And those are important questions. If you're reading an article without downloading it, uploading it to ChatGPT and things like that, you can actually get a Google Chrome extension and deal with the page while you're on it. Let's look at the evidence. I just want to see what it has as evidence. It's probably going to have some citations. Pandemic related laws, teaching practices, student experiences. Do they have sources for that? It's its own source. But I think that is it. That's all I have for today. We looked at some uses of chatbots or AI in general as tools and for personal use and toys. I think next week, let me find out where I'm at over here. We'll pick maybe an area or two and learn more about it. Try to have some fun, and then definitely get into some customization options to help people out. If people have questions, just put them in the chat. Hit the like button, please. Share, subscribe, and comment. Please comment. Thanks for stopping through. Big shout out to my peoples at Tri Media, DQ, Brass, Logic. Thank you in the chat. Thank you for your future comments too. And that's all I have. So I appreciate y'all. And I will see y'all next week, I believe. Thanks.
Gotta hit it like tap it in the zone. Share it with the world, make the vibe known. Subscribe to the beat, feel it in your phone. Catch the waves we throw, you ain't alone. Like, share, and subscribe. Keep the rhythm alive, we thrive. Hop on this digital ride. Let's multiply the vibe worldwide.